Australia is in one of the strongest positions in the world right now, and yet it still risks missing what that position actually offers. The global system is shifting, supply chains are being reworked, energy is being repositioned, and countries are becoming more selective about who they rely on. So what does that mean for Australia? Well, it means Australia should be central to this shift because we sit on exactly what the world is now competing for: energy, critical minerals, food, at scale. So what does that create? Well, it creates a very specific opportunity, not just to export more, but to move up the value chain, to process, refine, and become a trusted supplier into multiple systems at once. And that's where the leverage actually sits, not in extraction, in what happens next. And this is where things get interesting because that part, the part where value is created, is not where Australia is currently focused. Look at what others are doing. Indonesia has moved aggressively into downstream processing. It doesn't just export nickel, it processes it and shapes the supply chain around it. The UAE and Saudi are investing to position themselves as trade and capital hubs. India and Vietnam are absorbing manufacturing and supply chain shifts. These countries are not better positioned than Australia, but they are moving a lot faster, and speed matters here. Australia is still operating largely at the start of the chain, exporting raw materials, importing higher value products, relying on demand to come to us. Now, that model worked in a different system. It's less reliable in this one. There's another layer to this as well. Australia doesn't operate with full freedom. Security is anchored in the United States. Trade is heavily tied to China. Neither relationship is optional. So every decision carries weight. Lean too far one way and you create risk on the other. And that shapes how Australia moves, carefully, incrementally, and often slowly. And that's where the tension really sits. Because this moment does not reward caution, it rewards speed and clarity. So what does missing the opportunity actually look like for us? It doesn't mean Australia drops out of the system. It means Australia stays at the start of it, supplying inputs, energy, minerals, food, but not really capturing what happens further along. Processing happens elsewhere. Refinement happens elsewhere. Margins are captured elsewhere. And Australia remains essential, but not really influential. Over time, that position narrows. Decisions are shaped elsewhere. Terms are set elsewhere. Value accumulates elsewhere. Australia remains stable, it remains wealthy, but it operates inside a system designed by others. And that's the shift. Because in this kind of environment, advantage only holds if it's used. Australia has the input. It has the credibility. It has the position. What it doesn't yet have is the pace. That's what will determine the outcome. So the question isn't whether Australia is well placed, it's whether it moves fast enough to turn that position into leverage.